Hello. Hey everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of BAK BAK. This is our bi-weekly interview where we talk to an indie brand designer or artist and talk to them about their lives and their inspirations and how they exist on this plane of reality.
Enjoy.
So we're gonna, in this case, we're going to interview Tina, who is also known as Seams Witch, the designer behind Märchen Maiden.
Here we go. Awesome. Hi guys. Welcome. I tried streaming once before, but it's not always my thing. So let's just get started. So
Okay, so first of all, Tina, do you want to introduce like yourself and how you got into Lolita fashion?
okay, so yeah, my name's Tina. A lot of people will either know me as Seamswitch or Tuba on Facebook because I don't think they've had my real name for like 8 years or something. They've never made me change anything back. So they think they may actually believe that Tuba with two T's is my legal name. I'm not going to tell them that. But how did I discover that? I feel like it's kind of been long enough because I feel like I entered the age when LiveJournal was just kind of already on the decline, like just before the decline of LiveJournal and everyone jumped to Facebook. And because, growing up the way I did, you were always kind of exposed to anime and manga and all of that. It wasn't that strange for me to just know Lolita fashion existed. Like I feel like I've always seen it, just
Right.
depending on your yeah.
If you're into like manga or like if you live somewhere where like, you have like little Tokyo next to you, like you're probably going to come in contact with some of this stuff.
Yeah, like I can't remember. Like everyone seems to have like these really vibrant memories of when they first knew about Lolita or saw it. My vibrant memory is going to Irvine Spectrum in California. Maybe I want to say it's definitely past 2010, but that was the first time I saw like actual Lolitas that weren't in magazines or weren't like pictures on the internet, and they were all in like 2010 suite. It was like what's kind of happening right now with all the accessories, and everyone had twin tail wigs and split wigs back then. It's I guess those are coming back now, but I actually just tell them, you guys look amazing. I didn't know this was like a thing here. And they're like, oh, we have a live journal. And they were just super nice to me, and then life went downhill. Life went downhill.
You found out about LiveJournal and you're like, oh no, I am a Lolita
Yeah.
now.
I did post them under different not I didn't post, like I did buy a lot of stuff through the live journal, and I did sell stuff when I first started. Like I definitely came just before everyone bailed on live journal together. Like I was definitely there in 2013 and 2014 because I have wardrobe posts up. So I must have started, I think maybe 2012. I remember buying like, because I was able to buy direct from Innocent World the first time. That was my first Lolita brand, like anything. And I was just so excited. There's a picture of me somewhere on Facebook with like the EMS bag over my head. I was like, this is it. This is brand. I did it.
Yeah. But yeah, after that, it was like a kind of Tumblr thing.
Yeah. Then it jumped to Tumblr. And I know everyone was active on Instagram. And I wasn't too great with Instagram even now. I was okay on Tumblr. I really enjoy like the format of Tumblr. I'm just kind of sad it went downhill. I feel like everyone abandoned it together too.
Yes, just all in one go. I agree, because that's kind of how I feel like what happened. So putting aside Lolita, how did you learn how to sew, and how did you discover your love for that?
My grandma actually taught me how to sew. Like I've been sewing with her. Like I would kind of just give her things, and she would just kind of do something really like, okay, whatever the hell you're asking for. She would just give it back, and I would learn from that. I did go to like I did go to FITM, which is fashion school. I think we talked about it last time in the last panel too. Wouldn't recommend it. I don't know anyone who went to that school and recommended it.
If anyone wants any like kind of fashion school or fashion industry knowledge from like a Lolita perspective, because I know a lot of people want to go into it because they want to like start their own brand, or they're just interested because they want to consider it as a career. Tina and I were both in a Lolitas in the fashion industry panel, which you can check out on the Bay Area K YouTube. So you can listen to our traumas there, but
yeah, it's actually very traumatic. It's very traumatic actually.
So
It's like 7 people going, "We've had a bad time." And just I think it was just Haley that was like, "I had an okay time."
I mean, I don't have a bad time,
Yeah.
but it's because I don't work in design.
Yeah, design. I like the second like I did the actual industry for about 7 years, and it was kind of 50-50. Like I would do design work and production work. So I kind of dabble in both, but I didn't go super deep into either. Like you were deeper, I think, into production side because you're actually buying stuff. Meanwhile, when I did production, I would just give basic specs and stuff, and the money and the actual costing would be up to the head designer or something. Like I would
Mhm.
just be the one who presented options.
Mhm. Yeah. But kind of going back to like, so you learned how to sew at a young age from your grandmother, and then you went to FITM, and
Yeah.
I think at the time I remember you posting a lot about like how you're super into like the more technical aspects, kind of like pattern drafting and that kind of stuff. Do you want to
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
Yeah, I still very am. It's just hard now because we have our own apartment now, but having the space to be able to work on stuff like that is a
Mhm.
completely different question. Like I really miss they would have something like 60-inch by like the huge tables. I don't know if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm like absolutely huge.
Mhm.
They're like 60
We would
inches
nap
in
under
width.
them.
Yeah, oh my God, they were so good. But
It's also
I
because we didn't go home and sleep.
no, we didn't. I actually slept in my car for most of college and my early years of work because I couldn't afford driving like from all the way from the OC back to LA because it was like a 2-hour turnaround. And I would just sleep in my car. I was fucking gremlin. Whoops. Ignore that. I was a gremlin basically. Just living in my car, getting like stopping by people's places to shower and just eating whatever was like
people
available.
in my people in my class did not shower.
Yeah, we lived up as the nasty art students we are.
Yeah, I cannot believe that no one got injured
I
due to
mean,
like
there was
sleep
actually
deprivation.
oh, dude, no, there's actually wasn't injuries because we had the industrial machines and those things don't they are very fast and
Yeah,
they are very sensitive. And someone actually did get really hurt using one of those machines because they were sleep deprived. And I was
that's
able to
exactly what I think would
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, no, the ambulance came and actually took them away. They kind of fucked up their fingers. I was just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, we
But
got
yeah,
Tina standing here.
hi, hey, what's up?
But yes, be careful. Be careful while sewing,
Yeah,
kids. You
don't.
can really mess it up.
Yeah, you can break your bones is what I'm gonna leave it as. But definitely, I remember sewing. I do love like pattern making. I like a lot of people think designing is just being the artsy craftsy side, but I'm actually really bad at like the artsy designy side. I'm very much take a concept, it's probably already been done, but do it really, really, really well. Like try to bring it to the best level that aesthetically and just construction wise as well. I don't have a lot of my stuff floating around because I just don't produce that much on my own. But what
Mhm.
the stuff I do put out like under the Märchen Maiden, like I guess my label, I guess my little pet project, my side hustle, whatever you want to call it. I do spend a lot of time, like an obscene amount of time, just making sure they're right. Like I've been known to abandon stuff and trims I've already purchased to go get a better one. And yes, it costs me a ton of money, but it's part of what I find joy in it. Like I don't really
Mhm.
do this for an obscene amount of profit. I don't make much money at all. I just think it's neat.
I just think it's neat.
Yeah, I just think
Um,
it's neat. It's very much a passion project for me. Like, and that's kind of where I want to keep it. I don't necessarily want to quit my very decently paying job and insurance to go pursue this. I've tried that and I just didn't. I just couldn't do it because there was a lot of other things in my life. And what I've learned is that it takes a lot of people to be one brand, and it
yeah.
turns out I can't do everything.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I can't do social media management. I'm very bad at it. So
So
it's like
sometimes I remind you, like, hey,
yeah.
post, make a
And then you
post,
have to
do it.
remind me when I do events with you guys. You're like, Tina, there's a theme, and I'm like, what? I was off in my own world for like a solid like a week before you were like, there's a theme, and I was like, but it's a suggestion.
It is a suggestion. It's true.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to your brand and the things that you make, when you started it, or like when you first started to come up with the idea of like launching your own label, how did that happen? How did you decide like I'm ready? I want to put my things out in the world and I would like to charge money for it.
Oh my God. So I've actually held on to like I paid for the domain and everything since 2013. Like I've been paying to keep the domain. It was actually my final art project. That was the brand I designed under. And like the early designs or the early work I did for schools, like not great. Like I didn't have a really great idea of like what a cohesive brand was and how to keep, what was practical and what wasn't practical. There was definitely a PMX where I was like a little table and I was just selling some handmade accessories, and I gave one. It was the year that Innocent World came, and I was like I still am. I'm like still a huge Innocent World fan, and she said, "Oh, yeah." I actually introduced me as a young designer, and I was like 19, maybe 20, maybe 21, just basically a baby. And she had really
Baby
sweet words for
Tina.
me. Yeah, she had super sweet words for me. And she's like, follow, the stuff you like. And it's been like basically a decade since, but now I'm doing what she meant.
It's
I
true. You
definitely,
are
yeah.
doing what you want.
Yeah, and it's like I can't obviously by one person. I can't put out a lot of stuff. It tends to be very like I probably do one-offs, and it's basically whatever I feel like. If there's a construction idea in my head, like I know we talked about like a tiramisu dress where because I don't deal with prints, we were like, let's do a shit ton of ruffles, and then we're gonna alternate creams and brown so it looks like tiramisu cake.
It would be so good.
And then you could replace the brown with pink, and then it would just be strawberry.
It would be
Bam! Look at
strawberry
that.
shortcake.
It
It
would
would be a strawberry shortcake dress.
But yeah, I'm very technical in that aspect. Like I'm thinking how this dress would be constructed, how much it would cost. But I do need someone like you to bounce off ideas from. Otherwise, I just walk in circles, like all around, thinking like a million things to do, but not being able to focus on just one of them. And a lot of it has been discussed. Like, are you undiagnosed with like ADHD or something? And I'm like, I don't know. I've just worked my way around like just having too many thoughts and not being able to focus on it.
And just like throwing out there, maybe this is kind of common with designer types. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have met some designers where their production like head, like their assistant is the star of the brand, because they need to take the designer and be like, you only have this so much like budget for your design. You cannot be stacking like these layers and layers and layers. We're gonna have to cut half of them off. And the designer's like, no. And the production manager's like, nope. Like I definitely have known a lot of people who work like that, and that's definitely someone I need. You're like in my head, you're like the designated person because I tend to run a lot of things by you anyways.
It's fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah. It's just like I have an idea and you're just like, how much will it cost?
But kind of going back to like the things that you put out as a brand, you are really technical in terms of like the dresses and stuff that you've made in the past, but kind of you as a brand, you've stuck to more accessories. Is this just limited to space, or like, your desire to produce any given amount of stuff for people?
Kind of. It definitely comes back to the fact that I definitely get caught up in being so technical where I feel like mistakes are not allowed in things I sell. Like I would never sell anything I consider to have any flaws. Like I would never put it up. I would either sell it as B grade, or oftentimes, especially if you see me doing giveaways, oftentimes it's the first one I made and I just didn't like it enough to put a price tag on it. So I would rather give it to someone who could still use it, but not charge a price. I just don't have space like where I am. Like I have the dress forms, and because I do still work full time with a lot of overtime, I don't have time to be doing like a lot of big dresses. I have been in contact with some people who may be able to do the sewing for me, but it's still up to me to be doing the patterning and stuff. And I would just pay them like what they're worth in terms of bringing the pattern I cut out. And even then, if I mess up the pattern, it's gonna be on me. Like I wouldn't want them to have to go back and fix like my mistakes either. Accessories are just a lot more manageable for me, and I have the ability to just contact, like especially with things like pins or making like custom like small pieces. It's easier to contact people for those. Like it's much easier to contact people like manufacturers for those things versus having to make anything myself. Because I know the heart berets that I had made for the last event were really popular, but I was only able to make 4 because I was using vintage trims. I've been reaching out like to manufacturers, just trying to find someone who can either recreate the heart or just try to find a workaround for the fact that this was a one-off and people really like it, and I feel really bad that I only made 4. It's just a sense of like how much time I have, and if I were to work on a dress, I'm sure now I could do it. Like I'm in a much better place. I have space. I have the time, like a little more time. It would just take me a very long time. And because I'm such a perfectionist, like if I'm doing the sewing, I'm not going to be happy with it. I want someone else to do it. So at least like I'm much more forgiving on everyone else. I just would hate to put something out. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
Hi, Brian.
You're doing great, sweetie. You can still play like your VR.
I wanted to get the laundry done.
Okay, have fun. But yeah, so it's also a case of like I obviously live with someone else, and we live in a 1-bedroom, and there's only so much mess I feel like okay strewing around. Like I have the entire half of the room that's just my work and my stuff,
Mhm.
and it's just stuff everywhere all the time.
Yeah, and something that I've definitely spoken with other designers about is like just coming to terms that if you live with someone and they are a designer, they are going to have designer mess, and you just have to
Yes.
accept it.
Yeah, he's a super champ though, because I've explained very early on that there's going to be pins in the ground, right? It's not on purpose, but there will be pins on the ground. But if I'm going to drop pins, they're always in my area, and you put a magnet on a stick and you kind of just sweep the floor. I'll still
Mhm.
find one now and then by a little jab, and I'm like, okay, just pull it, like pluck it out and just put it back in. It doesn't go deep or anything. It's just like a little prick, and you just reach down, you pick it up, and you throw it away.
Please be careful.
I'm pretty sure most people go through this though, if they like love making stuff. Like
Yeah,
you're
the magnet thing is super, super helpful. Like if you get one of the magnetic pin
Mhm.
thingies, you
Oh,
can just
yeah,
kind
if
of
you
those
have
are
the
great. I
bowl,
love them.
if you have the bowl, you can just kind of sweep it over, and those are very strong. Don't put them by
Mhm.
your computers.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Kind of going back to the patterning thing though, like just hot tip for people who maybe are looking to start their own brands or whatever. If you know how to pattern, that is a part of designing that is going to be less expensive for you because you don't have to find a pattern maker. That's a
Yeah,
huge part.
a pattern maker who is good and understands the fit of the market you're going for, basically worth their weight in gold. Because like
Mhm.
a lot of designers have ideas, they don't necessarily have the
Yep.
ability to make those ideas happen.
Mhm.
I happen to have a little bit of both, but because there's just so much time. Like I have dress forms, I have a size 4 and a size 12, which kind of covers maybe the small and maybe the large medium kind of size. But if you were to ask me kind of personally, like without these dress forms, I would be very worried about creating designs like outside of these particular shapes. They're very standard kind of body shapes, and I can do the basic like changes. But like, say if someone were to commission me a dress, I would be very expensive because I would insist on making a mock-up for them, sending them
Mhm.
the muslin mock-up, asking them how they fit it, like seeing like the best I can, like maybe through photos or through a video chat to see what needs to be fixed. They would, and then they probably won't have to send it back to me, but it would definitely be a very long time consuming process, and not everyone has like the time or the money to be able to afford something like that.
Right. Because when it comes to like pattern grading, it doesn't just scale proportionally upward. That's not how bodies work.
No, it doesn't. And like I kind of learned this like personally because when I first started, I was very small and skinny. Like I was still like 5'6" or however tall I was, but I was maybe like 110 pounds. Like I was very skinny. Obviously, it's been a decade since I've gained weight. I've filled out, as a lot of people would
We're
say.
almost 30.
Yes, I'm gonna be free of like all the insecurities of being 20. I'm so excited, honestly.
Because once you hit 30, then you're just a young 30.
Yeah, once you hit 30, you're just
You're
like,
just a
dang,
baby.
you're back to being like a confident baby. You're just
I'm
like,
new and I'm hot.
it's fun. It's definitely fun, but definitely when my body scaled up, I definitely was a little like became much more kind of hourglass shaped. And that's, if you're not familiar with that body, which a lot of Lolita brands aren't, they're not
Mhm.
familiar with that body. They don't know how to pattern design after it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. And this problem continues to obviously scale up because obviously the more body weight and the more shapes, some people aren't as curvy, some people have bigger hips, some people have a bigger bust. That's where a lot of difficulties in pattern making come in, because obviously one size, it doesn't fit all.
Mhm.
And it's not fair that not everyone can be accommodated, especially because they use a very idealized standard sizing. But it is very difficult, and I would be very worried not being able to fit a body I'm not used to. Like I even now, when I make like mock-ups, I still really struggle with like even kind of patterning things to my own chest and stuff, because it is a lot bigger than it used to be. And I still get caught in the mindset that everyone, like every cut is a B cup, I still get very caught in that.
Especially since in fashion school, they only pretty much give you like one mannequin and they're like, here you go, pattern on
Yeah.
this one mannequin. It's
Yeah.
like, thanks. That's useful for a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah,
So
the
useful.
standard, yeah,
Thanks.
the industry standard from my memory is something like a size
Size
8,
8
a
mannequin.
size
Yeah.
8, and it's like
Mhm.
what? It's like a 26 waist, a 32 bust, and
Yeah.
maybe 30,
Like 32, 44
yeah,
ish.
34 hips maybe. Like
34.
it's a very slender, very very straight shape basically.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of waist, but not much.
They don't, if you don't take other kinds of classes, that's what they teach you. And that you graduate and you're like, haha, I know nothing.
Yeah, and I will
Great.
give them props. So the book they recommended and the patterning book I still keep is actually has a lot of information on how to adjust like bust size and stuff.
Mhm.
It's almost devoted entirely for like female designs, like female designs with breasts and hips and stuff.
Mhm.
There's like a teeny itty bitty section about men.
Yeah.
Teeny itty bitty section. It's useful enough for me,
Do
and
you,
I've
do
definitely
you
looked at
have
other
the name
books.
of the book?
I actually think it's on my shelf. Let me see. I think it's right there. Let me grab it. It's on. I won't be that far.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can just walk over because you're not
I
connected by
can.
a wire.
I'm not. I have headless wireless headphones. Headless. I'm
Wireless.
headless.
Oh, that's the
I'm
one I have. I just
yeah,
never
it's the
read
one.
it. It's a very
Oh,
long
it's
book.
it's pretty good. The only thing about this particular book, besides it being a bit expensive because it is a school edition,
Mhm.
let me think. I think I forgot they were called the slopers they have you draft may be on the looser side. So you
Mm.
might want to tighten up those slopers because I found the first time I drafted them, they were like very, very loose, and you want a very like fitted sloper to start with.
Mhm.
You can add looseness, but you can't. But it's
Yeah.
very annoying, like trying to work from a loose pattern downwards for me.
Yeah. Well, shout out to anyone who wants that
Yeah.
book. I have it and I don't need it. You can hit me up. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, it is a very good book. There are other very good books out there, but I like this one. I still refer to this book a lot. It has like every design thing I can think of, besides maybe very difficult, obscure like couture designs. That's when you start
Mhm.
collecting like the couture books that get published because those are
Mhm.
absolutely wild.
Yeah. Or like things that you would need specializations for because I know they
Yeah.
do like special like corset classes and like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Or
Those
doesn't
are so fun.
FIDM have? I mean, was it FIDM that does a, or maybe it was Academy of Art who does a what are the thingies that ballerinas wear? I can't afford it right now.
Oh, I mean, I know one of the classes they do have make you do a corset with boning and stuff, and it's kind of like a final project thing.
What
But
are the skirts that ballerinas wear?
Tutus?
Tutus.
Yes. There's actually I remember making like a pseudo like tutu once, and it's very in depth. Like I understand like the pleating and stuff. It's kind of like a double pleats basically, where you're
Mhm.
pleating on top of a pleat, and you just do this for ages and ages. And there's a piece of they sew in a piece of like hoop wire around. Design. When I first when I first made these chains, I didn't think people would like them that much because exactly that. They look aesthetically very nice, but then you're just like
Well, this isn't necessarily you thought like I am going to wear this while also having a mic in my face.
Yeah, so I was really surprised when people had really good feedback. So I was like, okay, let's just commit to this one and see how it goes. And it went really well. So this is the pink one. I don't have pictures of it up yet, but I will soon. There's going to be a couple extras, and I'm trying to clear it out so I have, the money to go back to making berets basically.
Mhm. I'm
The
really looking
ulti-
forward to getting my
ult-
black one so I can wear with sunglasses and look really dope.
Yes, yes. And if anyone ordered one and they want like maybe masks, like the little lobster claps for masks, just hit me up. I'll include a pair for you guys.
That's cute.
I don't
like
have
that.
silver ones though, so you're gonna. Sorry, I'm gonna let you know. I don't have silver ones right now.
Oh no! Oh no, Emma.
Someone tell Emma.
She knows. She's sad.
It's fine. I will think of you guys more often because goth girls are very fun to design like accessories for. It's just like make it black and then make it silver.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
Although
it.
I'm doing gold today.
Just today though. You normally don't wear gold.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about fun questions. This is your favorite. Talk to us about your cats.
I love them. I wish they were in the mood to show up, but they're all in sleeping mode right now, and I don't want to just go over, pick them up, and it's gonna be like they're gonna be like, "What? Why?
Mhm.
Why? I didn't deserve this mother." But I adopted cats last year when basically a little bit after quarantine started because I was home alone, like about 90% of the time. And when quarantine first started, you feel the pressure. I don't know if I still feel it. It comes and goes, like being home all the time without being able to
Mhm.
see people or going outside very much. I just don't live in like the safest areas in terms of COVID numbers. So I would much rather stay indoors. So like I just don't want to risk it, especially because anti-masking is a little too rampant in the neighborhoods like around me. But definitely I adopted the cats, and that's suddenly why a lot of my stuff said in sales, like even personal sales and the Märchen Maiden sale says, I have 2 cats, please let me know if you have any allergies, like I cannot stop them from laying on my stuff, but I can clean everything. Like I have lint rollers for all my work, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. Cat hair everywhere. I'm so sorry. Like I brush them and I try to make sure they're groomed, but they're cats and there's hair everywhere. So much hair. It just be like that. It just be like that. Cats be like that. But yeah, I love them very much, and I know it's kind of like how Juliette Justine kind of features the designer features her personal cat and like everything. I'm not gonna do that, but I think about it a lot.
Just make them your logo.
Yeah, like I like the kind of idea where Kinako, she's the kind of torty, spotted, cocoa dusted looking cat. She is very attentive and she wants to be part of whatever you're doing and looking at whatever you're doing.
She's very good.
Yeah, she's very good. So she's in a lot of Märchen Maiden photos by accident, and I just keep her in there. I'm just like, that's it. That's the designer. That's her. She is doing a great job, and everything comes from her little brain.
I feel like I remember reading like an interview with the Julia A. Justine designer, where she was like, where someone asked her a question like, how do you get inspiration? And she's like, I bury my face in my cat's belly.
She did. That was from the PMXT, I believe. I was there. I don't remember which year it was. It was definitely early, like 2010s, basically, like within that time frame for sure. Maybe 2015 or 16. Possibly 17.
That's
between
the one
that
I
time.
missed. That's the one I missed, and I think it might have been junior or senior year of college for me. So it's 2014, 13?
Okay,
14 or 15.
Yeah, that's about the time because she's very much like an artsy person, and she's who I think of when I say you need like a production person to keep you grounded. She's very much like, my ideas come from like the heavens granted by angels, and that's very fun.
And the angels are her cats.
The angels just happen to be her cats this time, but she's very into her pets, and I'm just like, I dig it. I didn't understand like the thing about cats until recently because I adopted them, and I was like, wow, I love them. Like they need just enough attention.
Yeah. And there was the whole thing where she was like, I want to put your cats on dresses. I wanted you to send me pictures of your cats, and I want to put them on dresses.
Yeah, and I think Hey Newly did that too. Was that Hey Newly?
I'm not sure. Wait, she did have a cat dress, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was Hey Newly you're thinking of, who's like, please send pictures of your pets and you can have them in like your own custom like pictures of your pet. And first I was like, oh, that's pretty silly, but now I'd be like, yes, I'd do it.
That'd be cute as like brooches too.
Yeah, I was
like resin or something.
I mean, at one point, because they're in a lot of like stock photos from Märchen Maiden, because I use a very, very big light box. Like it's absolutely enormous. They love to go in there while I'm busy. So they're like, their tails are in there. They're sitting in the background, and I'm just like, what if I just made postcards out of these and just sent it to people?
I would enjoy that. I would keep that. Like, I have my silly wall of like art. Oh, there's some boobies. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I have some brand ones. Like I got like a voodoo dolly. I got like, some like, just, this is a Hainuli one. I keep these.
Oh yeah, I keep all of them too. Like I like framing mines because I am that kind of person. So a lot of them are kept in like this like an album. So I just keep all the postcards and everything I've kept. Like definitely some original, like when Alice and the Pirates and Babies give that, because they do a lot of postcards with their stuff.
Yeah.
AP treats it like something special. I don't think Innocent World does a lot of postcards, or rather I don't have any. I have one Mary Magdalene postcard. One.
Ooh.
Just one, and it's one of their older dresses, and it's quite good. I should actually scan it just so it's up.
Yeah. Speaking of scanning things and putting things up, you've been getting more into blogging recently during quarantine. Do you want to talk about that?
Again, it's kind of like a side like the side effect of just being by yourself all the time. And honestly, I was never very good at reaching out to friends, even before quarantine forced me to basically be more social on the internet. Like I don't have as many problems talking to people in real life, but I get very shy online, and I don't the joke now with everyone is like, I do not wish to be perceived.
Yes.
So it definitely comes out like that. But I really missed the blogging aspect. Like I know most people use Tumblr as a second Twitter, basically, where it was just reblogging. But I used it as a blogging platform, so I rarely reblogged like anything. It was just very much whatever baby me was thinking at the time, and I was like, I really miss that. So let's look up the WordPress account I made a bajillion years ago and let's just start putting stuff up. And I think by the time it rolled like from last year, March into January and wardrobe things were up, that was one of the things I was just kind of most nostalgic for because I actually really like looking at like curating. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually very into like curating your wardrobe and buying stuff that suits a particular style, that kind of thing. And I just really miss just hyper analyzing the wardrobes of people I've never met. Like I just really miss that. Like I really liked it. I think it says a lot about like where they are and kind of like their Lolita journey and what they really like, just to seeing what you have. Like you own literally a black void. It doesn't need
It's
to
true.
go much deeper than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like being able to see like potential outfits and like what people like to collect because there's always people who like to collect like the Starshine Bright Bear, or maybe they only collect like a certain theme or a certain color, and that's just super,
I love that. Yeah.
super like whether it's capsules or it's just super hyper interesting to me. It's just if you give me something interesting, I will hyper focus on it to an uncomfortable degree. So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, let's see, my favorite collections
Mhm.
back in the day when people like collected just one of a certain item, probably like when I saw Butt Cape post all of her Rolandos.
Yeah, the Rolando collection. Do you remember the girl that had a bunch of the Alice and the Pirates that gathered chiffon cuts?
Yes, yes,
She had
yes,
so many
yes.
of those. That was so good.
Very, very satisfying because she talked about like like the year that it came from and like, you know, the color that she got it in and like why she liked that particular color in that particular year and like, you know, just her entire mindset of like collecting the whole thing. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there were definitely people who were like very into like kind of the Victorian Maiden or the Mary Magdalene, and back then those were really hard to get. Like those particular brands were very hard to get. You know, that was super exciting to me because I started as like very hardcore like Mary Magdalene, Victorian Maiden like kind of worshiper.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of found out the hard way that I'm too tall for Victorian Maiden. I don't know what it is. I think it's just I have a long torso, so a lot of stuff that was supposed to Empire waist just crawled right up there. So that's what I learned the hard way, that body types matter. So
yeah,
it is what it is. Like there's so many more options now for people to, you know, dress themselves. So I think it's a lot easier now. And you can find well, no one really copies like Victoria Maiden or Mary Magdalene's kind of
oh my
flair.
god, except that one dress.
Except that one.
You know the one.
Except that one dress.
The
But
Mary
no one
Magdalene one that everyone cosplays to or like they use like the cosplay stores and like the really, really crappy like costume
satin,
eBay ones.
Except that one dress, but no one really
dress.
mimics their particular style just because not you limit yourself like to the kind of like they know it, they absolutely know, but you limit to yourself the kind of customer that can fit into these particular clothes, especially because they only offer one size. So no one really like does what they particularly do. I think the next big brand to us that would maybe do that is maybe Atelier-Perot, but you know they're just like shearing, and I'm like,
yeah,
hey.
yeah.
They're so good.
Shout out to Atelier-Perot. They love us and they care for us.
You should definitely buy stuff from the website because if you buy over 20K, they give you free shipping.
They do give you free shipping. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
They tuck you in at night and they give you a little kiss on their forehead.
They absolutely do. And that's I also love that they do stock a lot of like Western indie brands, like to kind of bring it back and forth. They do a lot. They do a lot and they don't deserve enough credit. Like it's just they do the most. I would say they do the absolute most.
Yeah, they do outreach to us. They do outreach to other people. They validate Western indie designers, which is just amazing. And they carry like smaller indie Japanese brands.
Yeah, and I've been to their stores like in Japan. They are probably the cheerful, like the most cheerful of the stores. Like going to Baby and like Angelic Pretty is very somber, and it's just like
exactly what you would expect.
Yeah, it's very somber. You're just like take your thing and go. like you like take your thing and go.
Meta does treat you good when you go there in person. They're very
Meta's
excited.
just like, and I'm just like, oh hi.
Like I went in there and I bought like a single tiny necklace, and they're like, "Thank you so much," and I was like, I guess.
Oh no, I love all of the brands really. Like I'm just I'm just super into what they do and what they're doing. Like they're like people tend to lose sight of it, but in the grand scale of fashion, they are very
You're
small.
so small.
Yeah, they are
Do you want to talk about
very
production?
small. Oh my god, are we ready to
Can we
go?
talk about production?
We're gonna go down this deep dark path.
Let's do it.
Did it start with wait, it started with why I was blogging again.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just I thought it was just fun. And I really like taking photos of stuff. Not
Yeah.
people,
So
just stuff.
do check out.
Mhm.
Do I have a link to your blog? What's the link to your
Maybe.
blog? We
It's
want
just
to.
it's just of thread in mind at WordPress, like dot WordPress or whatever it is. I think there's a link on my Instagram, but it's the same name I used to use in my Tumblr days, and it makes me feel very nostalgic. It's just a blast to the past for me, and I tend to communicate better through kind of the blog type formats because I don't believe in writing good captions for Instagram.
Hey, hold on. Let me post that. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Emma. Emma did it. She did the thing.
She is doing the best.
Yes, and also you posted that one review of like the closet app thingy that I think kind of might be the reason why a lot of people started using that, which I love because I love
Well, I
seeing
got that.
people like
Yeah, I got that from your panel, and you got that from Purist
from
Maiden. So it's
Purist
just been going around, and like, is it the best app? No, there's definitely a lot of glitches, and kind of looking at the devs and stuff, it feels not abandoned, but something they come back to every 2 years. And because they probably started it as an Apple app and not an Android app, I believe the Apple version is more robust because there's an option, like a $4 option, to buy the app and support it and get some more features unlocked. That feature is not available on the Android version, but there are no like ads. Like you don't have to look at ads between scrolling through your clothes or anything. I think the only ads that exist is if you were to click specifically on the shopping tag and buy stuff through their affiliates, which is freaking fantastic because then you can just look at your own stuff. But it's missing a lot of like quality of life, like things that could really use an update. Like if you were to look at the brands, they're not in alphabetical order, like that kind of thing. Like you'd have to scroll and look, like just memorize whatever absurd list of brands in the order you submit them in. But I really like playing with it on my phone, especially because I work a lot of overtime and I'm away often. I like being able just to make outfits on my phone basically and see what I have and then decide, like, do I need to buy the thing? Probably not. Am I going to buy the thing anyways? Maybe. We'll see.
You have been posting a lot of like the outfits on your personal.
Yeah, I've just been posting.
You'll like post your
the
collage and then you'll post like you wearing the thing. I'm like, oh, you did the thing.
I did the
You
thing,
wore
and now
it.
I'm gonna do the thing later. I just think it's really neat, you know. I think it's a great tool, and because you can put in how much you like a value of an item or how much you paid for it. I get to see all my collective like sin, and be like I choose to unsee this. I try not to look at it too often.
It's forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, I don't. I've hit the point where I don't necessarily need to sell things anymore because I used to be one of those people who would buy something and sell it just because I was picky, and it would just be like I'm just trying something out, and then I would just immediately sell it because I didn't like it for whatever minor ass reason it was. So definitely a lot of stuff has come and gone, and I'm at the point where I don't have to do that anymore. And setting up like a wardrobe app is probably the hardest part because it's the same. Like if you were starting it when you had a smaller closet, it's a lot easier. But once you hit the point where you have over like maybe 30 dresses or something, you're just like, you have to upload each one of them like kind of individually. You can do them in batches of 9, but you still have to go and edit each one. And it's been my off hobby, I guess, like almost my secondary hobby now. But I do like taking my breaks at work and just being like, I wonder what I can do with this thing. And because I don't have to pull out a bunch of things from my wardrobe, I can try more interesting combinations that I wouldn't normally. Like it's making me just rethink. Yeah, it's just making me rethink how I can work like things into my wardrobe and how I can pair it with. Because like I never thought about putting black and pink together for whatever reason.
So good.
They did. I just never think about it until I started playing around.
That one AP dress that's like got like cats and like music notes on it. That's like an oldie but a goodie.
I don't have it. So.
Well, no, but like I feel like black and pink has been together in Lolita for a while.
Forever. I just don't think about it because I go based off a lot of neutrals, and I didn't start using black as a neutral until recently, and it's just I'd have to build up to buying like collecting black blouses and then black shoes and then just
I'm so neutral in Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just a void. You're just a void of black. You've never had these concerns about
Nope,
having
I
different
do not
neutrals
have
to work
any of
with.
these concerns. Okay, going back to protection,
Yeah.
let's talk about how
Oh
Japanese
boy.
brands are also always are smaller than you may perceive.
Oh yeah, they're very small. Like I have like what I call the AP tinfoil hat of just their production numbers in my head, and I think about it probably a lot more than I should, just because I'm so fascinated by how these small brands have such strong followings and how they stay afloat. It's not like they're
Mhm.
not making money, but I for me it's a case with a lot of fashion brands. Like one bad season and you're kind of messed up forever. You know, a lot of brands, they're it's not cheap to do the stuff they do. And Angelic Pretty, I would pin about. I used to guess pretty high, and then I started guessing really low what their production numbers are.
I
I
feel like it's not even 100.
no, I think
I
a
don't think it's
fair
100 per run.
I think a fair assumption might be something like 600 pieces per series, maybe like, because they do have stores they have to stock, and they do tend to have more than one thing in the store,
Yeah.
and they do have several stores. So I would guess at least they make maybe 100 pieces per style, maybe 600. I think Little Witch for last year, the Halloween release, I think they did a lot of them just because they were in stock for a very long time, and everyone got a Little Witch, and there are still people buying Little Witches.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of my guess around their numbers. Like maybe they'll make maybe 600 pieces, and that will include every style. So yeah, it's kind of back to like the 100 pieces per,
Mhm.
and
And
they
although
would
if probably they're not doing like the same numbers of every single type of
no.
garment. They're probably doing like less skirts.
Yeah, and I believe and it's been showing this year as well, but I think they've dropped their production numbers even lower just
That would
because
make sense because of like
yeah.
just because of what's gonna
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Also, like they're easiest to kind of keep track in terms of what sells out and what doesn't, just because a lot of people buy it. I can get gauges from Western and Eastern, like just kind of boards, because I actually do spend a lot of time on like Weibo and stuff. Like I don't read Chinese, I don't speak Chinese, but I can sure look at pictures in Chinese, and I
Mhm.
love seeing like what they're up to and what they buy. And honestly, what ends up happening is that what people think is unpopular here sells very well over there.
Yeah.
Like very few people here seem to like Noble Collection from last year, which I really liked because it was very Dolce Gabbana to me, like
Yes. Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
Dolce
yeah.
Gabbana. And it wasn't popular here, but I did see a lot of girls in China wear it like very casually, very just not they seem to be very stress free about Lolita, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be like, an OTT court fest. But if you are an OTT court fest, you are excellent and valid, and please don't stop because I cannot do OTT to save my life.
Yeah, like dress casual and lazy
Hmm?
if you want. Dress OTT if you want. It's all
But
valid.
I'm just saying we are continuing, our the end of the light for quarantining and staying by yourself is kind of at the end, but I think you should buy that really big hat anyways and wear that very big hat in public. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Like
At this point, I'm like,
yeah.
no one should question what any of us are wearing in public.
Yeah.
We've been through a pandemic. Leave us alone with our big hats.
Well, Emma, you and your big hat thing is a problem you should resolve on your own, but I do think you should buy another one.
Emma did. She bought the Alice and the Pirates
She
one
did.
recently, and she bought the one from Fairy Bird.
Mhm.
What else did you buy? Big hat wise.
Big hat wise, big hat.
Big hat wise.
Well, I guess we all tried to buy from Antique Beast, and I think
Antique
Antique
Beast
Beast
closed in like
closed, and
5 minutes.
I was just like,
Guys,
oh,
F in the chat. F in
for
the chat for
everyone.
everyone who did not get Antique Beast.
Oh yeah, Nick Philippin. In case you didn't know, like Antique Beast, like when we're trying to do the order, I think they've already closed. Like they closed. I think they were only open for a couple hours, and they were just like, which honestly, if I'm sure Antique Beast is also something like a one person show as
They're
well.
very small. I'm pretty
Very
sure they're like
small.
one person.
Yeah, the whole I open my own like the web store for a little bit and then close it down so no one can access it. I took that
Mhm.
from Antique Beast
Right.
because I
I
felt like
feel like
that
that's
was
a
the easiest
lot.
way.
That's what a lot of indie brands from the
Mhm.
US do now because they're
Yeah.
like, hey guys, we can only put out so much stuff.
Mhm.
Thank you for supporting us,
Yeah.
but we need to be able to manage this situation.
Yeah, so especially because it's not like the storefronts we use aren't free. most people aren't using a free storefront, especially if they want to have a really pretty one. So I use like what was it, Shopify? Yeah, I use
Shopify, which is
Shopify, and
expensive. It's one of the more expensive ones.
yeah, and it's the minimum plan for that is $30 a month. So when I don't plan on releasing anything, or I feel like we're sold out, or just nothing's gonna happen, I just shut down the store. So that way I don't have to pay $90 to keep the store open and nothing happens. And I always welcome people to contact me on Instagram if it's an off season and be like, do you still have this? I was like, oh, I'll just let you know. Yeah, I do. Or maybe I don't, send you a PayPal invoice or something. That's very manageable for me. Yeah. Like hosting the web store is expensive. Just all of the little things that add up cost money.
Yeah. And when you're like a smaller designer, you have to consider like things like what shopping platform do I want to use, and like how much is that going to cost me, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I know definitely some people still stick to Etsy because there's already a built-in market
but then
for
it's
Etsy.
Like it's like a percentage per listing.
Yeah,
like
you lose between like PayPal. I have to check the numbers when I ran them last time, but between like PayPal and Etsy's own fees, you lose something like 25% of the sale. So you have the option of factoring in that 25% if you can't afford to lose that. But the price of your item goes up. So for me, it was more worth it to pay $30 or whatever for Shopify and just pay like, maybe if you're paying credit card or PayPal, just lose like that 3% instead of losing 25% of my sales. Because
the format of Shopify is very good. It's very good for like on a consumer basis.
Yeah, and if you guys have never seen the Shopify UI for making it, it's very easy. It's drag and drop. Add your own photos, do whatever you need. Very easy to change and update, which is what I do by myself. And it took a little bit of getting used to the actual sales format they do, but you can print everything out as an Excel. Yeah, you are now probably your own accountant if you decide to do this, and it's not fun, but it's part of the job.
And then after that, you gotta do taxes.
Yeah, taxes. Nobody's excited for taxes. I'm small. Yeah, I'm kind of small. I'm still very small enough to where I write off Märchen Maiden as like a small business, and I can do it on my own because honestly, I'm just using QuickBooks.
Yeah,
like that's the very easy way to do it. If there was ever a point where I was making like a significant chunk of income, like side money off it, then I would actually pay for like an accountant to help me out because I'm not great at this. I'm doing the best I can and I always double check, but I get lost in the legal like the legal wording. And you always want someone to make sure you're paying the correct sales tax, which Shopify does not do a great job for California. California has a lot of different tax in and out. So you definitely need someone to take care of that for you. Like I do my best to read up and I will always maybe tap an accounting friend, buy them lunch and be like, hey, can you just explain to me California taxes one more time? Here's some boba.
Yeah.
The currency.
When it gets to the point where you're like, this is like getting bigger, definitely the advice for any designer is like get an accountant that knows the laws in your state.
Yeah, you don't need the social media manager. You don't need any of that before you need like an accountant, really. If there's ever a point where I felt like I was approaching it, I would definitely get an accountant. Like first thing, but I do purposely like limit what I can make just because I also burn out very easily, very quickly. So it's definitely something where I need to pursue it and I still need to feel like I love what I do. Yeah, because that's happened very early on with Märchen Maiden when I lost my job and I was like, okay, let's just try this out. I couldn't do it because I was just burnt out by just kind of the weight of the fashion industry. I don't work in the fashion industry anymore. Like I work actually logistics now for shipping, basically. And it's kind of the same thing. Like I'm still emailing people and I'm still definitely kind of arguing.
Emails.
Yeah, it is. Just get really good in Outlook. And if you're really good at Excel, you can get a good job based on just that.
Yeah.
You really can.
Like I'm in the fashion industry now, but basically what I do is Outlook and Excel.
Like I do a lot of customer outreach as well, but I also deal with shipping logistics, which includes FedEx, UPS, USPS continues to be like my favorite. They really go above and beyond in terms of service. I know it doesn't feel that way sometimes, but as a whole, I would definitely lean towards more USPS. Don't trust UPS. I'm just saying from what I've seen and what I've worked with, don't trust UPS. I do really love DHL though, but they're not one of the clients I work with. Basically, they're not like, we're not one of their clients. But if you guys have been shopping during quarantine, which I know all of you have been, don't lie to yourself. Like definitely 2020, a lot of people who didn't think they could do Lolita definitely came into the fashion.
I love that though. They're
I
like, you
love
know
it.
what? We're indoors. We don't have things to do. We're gonna buy things and start a new hobby.
Yeah, and they kind of came at the worst time because they're definitely like paying a lot more in terms of shipping. Like
Yeah.
if you've never bought stuff before quarantine, like Lolita stuff, I swear that shipping doesn't have to be this expensive. I would never recommend using sea mail, but EMS and airmail are not anywhere near as expensive now. Like
Yeah.
like all we have right now is like if you're buying from Japan, you have like Yamato or DHL, basically, maybe FedEx if they offer it.
Yeah.
EMS has actually opened again for China, so you can still get stuff by EMS. It's just taking a lot longer.
Mhm.
But DHL is very fast, like very fast.
Yep.
That's what Closet Child uses. Insanely fast. Three days and it's here. Probably less than that. Yamato is also great.
Yeah, I love getting stuff from Closet Child because they use DHL and it's like, haha, it's here.
I really hope they keep the DHL partnership after it ends because I'm just like, I want it within 2 days. It's so fast. Like they are a private company completely. They use their own planes, their own drivers. They're not like UPS or any of these other places that have to switch to using USPS. So they're just like, no.
Yeah, but in terms of like smaller businesses that ship out of like the US, most of them are going to be using USPS.
Yes, we're going to be using USPS. They offer the best rates.
You don't get the deals that like large businesses get.
Yeah, it's a very big step to be opening a business account. And even then, just because you open a business account with these shipping companies doesn't mean that they're going to give you the discount, really. It just means you have an account with them and you can pay them to ship stuff. But to get those really good jumps in you have to be a big client, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, C-mail is valid, but I'm terrified of C-mail.
I'm just like, is it ever going to show up?
I think the vast majority of people, if you're just shipping clothes or something, you're going to be fine. It's just going to take forever, and C-mail tracking can be really difficult.
Or you can get once, and
you can get stuck in the Suez Canal. I know the stuff in the Suez Canal is not like probably packages, but can you imagine that your stuff in particular gets stuck in the Suez Canal?
If there were like Lolita dresses like traveling around, like just
I mean, there was that I don't remember which year this happened, but there was a time when I think either a train or a boat full of Taobao purchases basically tipped, and millions of dollars of packages were just everywhere. And I didn't have a Taobao order at that time, so I was like, oh, can't be me.
But like, can you imagine? It was like, oh, it's in the news, and my Taobao order is like in the ocean.
Yeah, it's just like goodbye.
Yeah, oh my god,
that would be terrible. Just because I also don't want to wait 2 months for anything.
Dream Marine, but make it real.
Oh my god. Somewhere out there's just the cutest like mermaid somewhere in the ocean, let me believe.
Yeah.
Wearing that sweet Chinese indie.
Okay, we've been like
what
rambling.
Production?
I don't know.
Talking about production?
I'm not sure. Are we still talking about production? We talked about it a little bit. We're just like, it's not as many as you think. It's not as big as you think.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love derailing stuff. Anyways, but yeah, no, the production numbers, even for the biggest producing brands, are not as high as you think. I'm like, I do also do a lot of Taobao brands just because I love what they do. It doesn't always have to be the greatest, but neither are Japanese brands sometimes in terms of quality.
Yeah.
But I love that they have their own trends, their own ideas. And yeah, there's a lot of them, but honestly, they have the ease of being able to produce things in a more local way. So it's a lot easier for them. I just love following what they do. And like with production and all of that, one thing that always kind of bugs me is how people always pull up that the Star Shine Bright video of the
like
little
the
grannies,
ladies.
the old great ladies, sewing the dresses, which is a very cute idea, but that was 10 years ago. Like
Mhm.
it was something like 10 years ago. That video is very old. I really doubt that they are still using this cute little dream of, having talented old ladies sew your
Well,
adorable
not I
dresses.
definitely not for production. Maybe for
No.
like sample making.
They might do it for like
We got
maybe
I got
something
old
like
ladies at my work sewing samples.
yeah, samples. They might do something like maybe they just specialize in the very fancy dresses that baby,
Mhm.
the very fancy dresses baby puts out. They might do something like that, but they're definitely not using them for the bulk of production, especially because
No,
baby
that's
as
not
a
how
brand has also
production
grown.
works. Yeah.
No, it's not practical, and you would never get anything done ever.
Mm-mm.
Just guaranteed a lot of stuff now is going to be made even by Japanese brands overseas. It's going to be
Yeah.
made.
Although, can we please talk about like the expectation of like all production to be done by old Asian ladies?
It's I mean, it's not. You'd be very surprised. Like you definitely want talented seamstresses, but everyone gets really trapped in the idea that's an old lady doing it. It's not necessarily true.
It.
It's definitely going to be very I would say aunties. I would expect more aunties, people who are
Mhm.
still kind of like knowledgeable about the trades and stuff. And there will still be people training to do this job,
Yeah.
you know.
In the
But
US though, all the sample makers at my work are like kind of aunties or old ladies. I'm like, there's no young people. I'm like, who's learning how to
no,
do this? Who's going to be able to do this in like 10 years time?
it's a hard
It's
job,
so
and
hard. It
it's
doesn't
so
pay
hard.
that well.
Yeah, and it doesn't pay well, and like honestly, like depending on the kind of designer you have, whether or not you get treated like as disposable or not. Like I very much detested one of the head designers I worked for because she would just constantly pile on work for the seamstress to produce samples,
Mhm.
and even then they're telling me like we can't keep doing this. She's giving us way too much work in like a day's deadline. Like we can't keep doing this, and that didn't end well for anyone. Like I obviously don't work there anymore, but neither does the head designer. So just
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
neither does
Mhm.
she.
Yeah, but it's definitely a difficult job that
Mhm.
isn't necessarily valued for that high amount of skill, and
Yeah, it's a very
no one's filling that
yeah.
void
So
after like.
I mean, even then, a lot of small companies are going to take their production overseas anyways. Like
Mhm.
there's definitely tons of people. Like it turns out my work, maybe your work too, they were unusual to where they hired seamstresses to work in company to
My
produce
company's very
samples.
old school,
Yeah,
yes.
that was very unusual. Most people now are, most brands are actually just getting their production done overseas, including the samples, shipping it here, giving it the okay, or maybe marking what needs to be changed,
Mhm.
finalizing like the tech packs for production, and then sending the order back to China, which is kind of what I kind of did for a while as well. Like I've done like every part of production except the final parts, and
Mhm.
I never went too deep to where I controlled everything. It was just very assistanty the whole time.
Yeah, I would, but yeah, so going back to like
Mm,
brands,
mm,
at least in Japan, I would not be surprised if they made all their samples
mm.
in-house, but don't think they're I don't think they're
No, I
yeah.
can't remember the last time I saw a modern made in Japan tag.
Mhm.
There's definitely some brands I would believe it. Like the very small indie brands, very
Yeah.
likely they're just, like Antique Beast. They're probably just
It's like
making stuff
based
in their
yeah,
house.
it's just a scale issue.
Yeah, it's just a scale issue. Like a lot of like I'm obviously not ready to be jumping to any kind of big scale, so I do everything myself when I can.
Mhm.
I can reach out and contact
Mhm.
like my friend who is opening her own. She does bridal work, so she definitely knows can sew a
Yeah.
dress
Well, plus you're
basically.
in LA and there is a
Yeah.
decent amount of production there,
Mhm.
so you do have access to it because of where
Access.
you live.
Yes, but I am also very stubborn about paying people, and if
Mhm.
I do outsource the work, I would want them to be paid because obviously they're doing something I can't
Yes.
do. I'm
Mhm.
not here to cheap them out of their money, which I know
Mhm.
makes kind of a terrible like it's good for the heart, but not good for like the brand. Basically, if you're hemorrhaging money, but I do like building
Yeah.
good
But I
relationships,
I like the idea
Mm.
of
paying people
um
fairly. Yeah,
fa-
yeah, paying people fairly.
Well, I was gonna say, like, as a business, not having the main goal be profit.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I am obviously I would like to make some money, and I did make like a decent profit in the last event that we did together, but I rolled all that money back into like basically taxes and buying supplies and stuff. And I don't buy the cheapest supplies either. Like I do take like the whole thing about trying to make something that lasts does go down to buying supplies and stuff.
Yeah, it's
And
boots theory.
yeah, it's just like I'm obviously not making a living off this. I just think it's neat. It just goes back to I should just erase everything on the website. I just think it's neat. That's it.
Yeah, because like essentially, if you're an indie brand, you have to, and you're just like, if you're going to be starting out or like you're new, you're going to have to either have another job so you can support your hobby job,
or be rich,
or be rich, or have someone else support you, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, a lot of the fashion
especially
world,
in the US.
Yeah, especially fashion world is very classist in that way. You do need to be supported in some way. Like there are people who can make it out of nothing. Definitely people who can do like the most with the least. But if you have someone say paying your rent, or you don't have to worry about bills, or maybe something like that, or you don't have to worry
or
about
at
your
least if
student
you
loans.
have a safety net where you know that if you fuck up real bad, at least you have something to fall back on.
Yeah. Like for me, I just turned 28. So this is the first time where I felt like I had a safety net at a job that I don't hate. I actually quite like my job. So my current position, and it will bounce back. And like the fashion stuff I do, it's all logistics, you guys. Everything is just logistics. That is what I've learned. But it will bounce back. I have my own safety net now. Like my family really likes the idea of having like some fancy designer in their things, and then they realize I'm very strange, and they're like, oh, that's not what we were thinking about.
That's cute though.
They definitely love the idea of, oh, there's the weird artsy one, and I'm like, hey. Definitely gets me out of like situations because they just excuse me being artsy. They're just like, oh, yeah, they're just like, yeah, no, she's weird. But like, I definitely have cousins who are like, doing the medical route and doing the logic route. There had to be one child who was like, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
they're like,
unfortunately for me, my parents got two artsy kids because they are both kind of artsy, and we're just the weird ones, and it's fine.
Yeah, your dad's fun. Your family's fun.
My dad's best friend is his cat.
I want to be like that.
That could be you.
It is me already. I'm just like, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm just like, honey, you don't understand. Like, if I had to choose between you or the cats, I'm pushing you off the cliff and then coming back to retrieve your body for them to eat. You don't understand. Oh, I've told you that multiple times. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
Back there.
What are you? Are you playing Valheim?
It looks like Valheim.
He's playing Valheim. It's Valheim. It's the Viking game.
Viking RuneScape.
Yes, he's definitely doing his best. Maybe I don't know. He's very good. He's just like, I don't understand everything you do, but you are doing something, and I respect that, and that's all I need. I do not want to be dating another artist because one of us has to be like.
Can you imagine that anxiety spiral?
Just like both of you guys just fall down into like whatever like caffeine or drug of choice, because you're artists, you're obviously taking something, and it's probably caffeine.
It's probably caffeine.
It's probably caffeine. It's like 80% caffeine. You both fall into a caffeine hole, and no one ever leaves. No, But I also hate the idea that you have to be miserable as an artist to
oh my god!
Anything.
Please let artists just be happy and thriving.
Let us be happy. Like I thrive when I'm happy. Like my creations come out a lot better. I don't get stuck on like single things as often because I can make decisions and with a clear mind. Definitely someone who thrives as a happy designer. Like I'm fed, I'm happy. I can go, frolic off in the grass and get ideas and sketch something down and maybe revisit it. Because I've had those heart berets in my stash for probably 3 years before I finish them. I'm definitely one of those people. There's a lot of projects I'm catching up on, and those are the ones that are going to go up in the web store first. Like just ideas I've had. Like I know a long time ago I made something like the concept was a tea bag beret, and I made one sample, but I'm not happy with that anymore. So it's something that's still in the back of my head. I still have the flowers I wanted to use to stuff a tea bag beret with. So it's just a case of going back and revisiting my idea. Which is actually great. I'm definitely someone who should let the idea stew for a long time. First rendition is always terrible.
You want to let it steep?
I want to stew it. Stew tea. I don't drink a lot of tea in real life. I just drink water.
That's amazing for you, and I love that.
Yeah, I drink normal water. Like tea's okay. I just don't want to make it really.
Oh fuck! I forgot my tea. It's fine.
Oh, it's cold
fine
now?
It's cold now. I'll microwave it later. It's fine.
See, it's fine. We're doing our best, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about your obsession with melty ribbon chocolate.
Okay, so I remember Melty Ribbon Chocolate coming out in 2014, and I kind of just shoved it aside because honestly, I was still very young. I wasn't able to afford stuff new back then. I did fall like I think it's for me, it's kind of like peak Lolita design. You had a custom fabric that wasn't a border print art because I actually don't like border prints very much. They're not my favorite type of style that Lolita has introduced me to. I actually think they're quite dull. Like I just don't I just don't I know, right?
That's
Spicy.
controversial.
I know. I think boring border prints are pretty dull. Like I don't enjoy
Border
them.
prints were like boring prints.
Yes, that's me. That's my hot take. That's my hot take. So I'm about to lose everything
border
I've ever
print
worked with.
Lolitas are valid. You're valid.
You're valid. I just don't care about it, which good for you because I'm very good at shopping and there's a good chance I could beat you if I were really into like border prints. Honestly, like I can shop on all of the websites. I've been able to do this for a very long time because I can shop through Taobao. I can shop through Xianyu, Xianyu. Yeah, I can shop Xianyu. Yeah, I can shop through Xianyu. I can shop through Mercari and Frill and all of this. And like, I'm not like I'm also very fast, so it's just like don't just be glad that it's not in my interest to be chasing after 2010s like OTT like sweet stuff. Like it's not in my interest. I just think specifically for Melty Ribbon Chocolate, it has a little bit of everything. It's got a lot of different designs that complement a lot of people. It came in a lot of very suitable, interesting colors. The fabric is a custom jacquard, which I don't think anyone really does anymore. Like I feel that Angelic Pretty will do an MTO for Melty Ribbon soon, just because Taobao brands have figured out how to make their own
There's
jacquard
that black
fabrics.
one, that black chocolate.
So, and there's anything AP doesn't like, it's other people stepping on them in terms of like ideas sometimes. So I just think it's very peak design. Like it's got everything I really like. I own 2 jumper skirts. 2 of the low waist jumper skirts. I just got this salopette and I just picked up another salopette. Like I have a lot of pieces. I collect the accessories when I see them. Just a lot of I just think it's kind of peak design for me. Like it's a very like for me, I don't like actually having a lot of stuff on top of Lolita, which is why I really suck at OTT. And you see that in a lot of my designs too. I like having a very clean silhouette, and you can't really argue with me. Like the pleated jumper skirt is not very clean looking, like very sharp. Like you can tell what it is if you were to black it out completely. And I'm very fond of like the low waist stuff because I'm taller and the taller kind of height size. Like I'm not tall by standards. Like I'm 5'6". I'm not super tall, but by a lot of Asian standards, I'm kind of a freak of nature. Apparently, I'm not even that tall. I don't get it. Like I'm probably tallest in my family. Whenever I've been overseas, either Vietnam or China or Japan, wherever I have to be for whatever, I end up being very tall, like a full head taller than a lot of girls. And it's just like, okay, I see what we're doing here.
Especially since all your friends are like short goth girls.
All of my friends are short goth girls, and there's only one goth I know that might be like tall. Everyone else is very small, so we're like
small
to stand.
And we're angry.
Yeah, they're small and they're angry, and they talk shit online, but in real life, they're all 5 foot nothing. So that has always been super funny to me. But definitely my obsession with Melty Ribbon Chocolate is I just think it's just peak design. Like that is what I aspire to be. Like if I could put it as my own, like if I designed it, I would have called it like the pinnacle of everything I ever cared about in terms of design. But it's very clean. It's well made. It's also I don't know, I just really think it's neat. Like literally my entire thing just goes, I just think it's neat. That's it. No, sometimes
your Lolita
it's
existence.
Pretty much. Like I didn't start collecting the pieces till recently. Like I went very far to get like the mint one from the Nagoya release. Mine is from the Nagoya release. It wasn't from any of the other stores. Like we sent 3 people to go shopping service as a group of friends, and we got what we wanted and we left. And do I feel a little bad? Kind of, but it's mine now. So. And I also, because I took 4 years of Japanese as a proper weeb in high school. You take your 4 years of Japanese instead of something useful.
4 years of Japanese too, but like I suck at it.
Yeah, I still remember my katakana and my hiragana. I don't think anyone should be good at kanji. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair, but I am because I'm on Taobao and a Chinese website so often. I am just at least picking up the obvious stuff. Like I don't particularly need a translator to be able to know like how to read the size chart or anything. I know that one means bust and that one means waist and all of that, and I'll just look for maybe keywords and for Shan, am I pronouncing it?
I feel like yeah, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I would have to look at the spelling. I think it's Shanyu, but for them, I at least I will recognize stuff like this is a sales or this is a trade or whatever. It's just stuff I pay attention to because I do wish like because there's so many separate comms and even in like kind of LA kind of has like a secret Chinese comm, which I think is freaking fascinating. But they're also separated, and because we don't have a single like live journal-esque kind of thing we go back to anymore, I just kind of wish like things were more connected just because I think a lot of sharing could be done. And I am very interested in like jumping in different comms and stuff and just seeing what it's like on the other side.
Yeah, I feel like we had a similar conversation when we were talking about like blogs and stuff, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to start the whole project with like this new blogging project that we're doing for Bay Area K, because I'm like, it's kind of difficult to find all these resources that everyone's posting. Like I want there to be a location where I can go and be like, yes.
Yeah, we don't really have that collective like all in one place anymore. And even then, with the stuff we do have needs a lot of updating, like a lot of updating.
Yeah.
Like I understand that people really like cotton for one thing. I'm ambivalent about it. I think cotton dresses are kind of heavy and crunchy, just depending on the weave of obviously the type of fabric they're using. But I don't think we should just polyester too. Like it all has a place, it all has a purpose, and sometimes it's not the best fabric they're using. Like I'm not a huge fan of the polyester that Innocent World uses sometimes. It's kind of traps a lot of heat for me. So but it's definitely like case by case kind of basis for me. Like it's very much judging every design by its own merits. Just because they did something before doesn't mean they'll do it again, and just because it didn't work last time doesn't mean it can't work this time. Like it's just a lot of stuff that goes in my head when I look at a design and I go, it's good or bad, because like I don't have a lot of discretion sometimes because I kind of respect the designers. So sometimes I'll say it's good for maybe someone else. Like maybe I wouldn't wear it, but I don't see why I would call it a bad design. Yeah. I would only call something a bad design because I'm so open about trying different stuff. I would only call it a bad design if there's something technically wrong with it. Because I don't think people know this specifically, but with Meta, whenever they have a button-out placket, right at the bust, they actually put a hook and eye, and not a crappy one. They put a trouser hook and eye, which is like the wider steel ones, and that is very good of them. And the first time I saw one of those, I was like, oh my god. That is like kind of peak technical thinking for me. Leaf actually does the same thing. If you guys are into Korean brands, I really love Leaf a lot. I know for their OPs, they also put the hook and eye where the bust is, so you keep yourself contained without straining the actual buttons. Yeah, it may not be a big deal if you're not as busty, but like it's small stuff like that makes me really happy. Like
design isn't all just about pretty stuff. Sometimes
I'm very much about details. That's why when I tell people, like, now that I'm a more mature Lolita, I actually really like blouses the most. Like dresses, cool. I've seen them all. I've literally seen them all. I could probably recite you like entire Innocent World's like log from 2008 up. It's not great.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a great like superpower apparently, but but I really like blouse designs because that's where a lot of small details come out. Like I really like having like I think this is a very Chinese trend to have like blouses that are set in here and then they just poof like with the airy sleeves. I really like those. I really like the trims they use on like I just think blouses are very pretty. And once you get to the point where you can buy blouses freely because you're not thinking about the getting more dresses specifically, getting more main pieces, that's when I think is a lot of fun. Like I have a wardrobe thing where I want to have twice as many blouses as I do main pieces, and that's what I'm working towards. At one point I'll probably write up like a blouse review blog because I can, and I like taking photos just because I can. And,
you kind of already have all the photos too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm not proud of it, but I do. It's just very like it's a detail, especially I feel like a lot of newbies don't grasp. And the fashion as a whole is like having a lot of blouse choices will open up a lot of courting options. Like most people don't have like a sailor collar blouse. That kind of like newbies don't start out with that. Like new people don't start out with that. But I just think having that option has introduced a lot more looks to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about newbies a lot because I joined a Lolita mentoring group, and it's very fun. But it also reminds me of how different like newbies now have it when we started. Like it's very different. They have a lot of options now, and I feel like
pressure. So
they
much
do,
pressure.
and a lot of like options. They can start with a lot of things. They could buy a full-on outfit fairly decently priced, it's just to start off with. But when we started, we were just like, we get one main piece, and now we're gonna have to thrift the rest of it to match. Which I thought was super fun, and I think it's totally okay to look like a hot mess. Because if you haven't noticed, a lot of older Lolitas have reverted back to being hot messes, and I think it's great.
We've come full circle.
We come full circle. I spent part of my government stimmy on realistic, cute cat girl ears, and I'm gonna wear it with dozing cat. So, like, I am living everyone has just given up like the pretense of being respectable, which is why, like, which is why
we're very silly.
We're very silly. Like, I think we've gone back. Like, that's why I think a lot of people love old school and stuff, just because like it looks like. Like if you just look at it, old school is very goofy looking. Like Lolita's goofy. It's very goofy looking.
Very goofy.
But old school, especially because of the way it was designed like way back then, is also especially goofy because no one like corded stuff the same way they do. Like
it's not as put together.
Yeah, it's not as put together, which is part of the fun. I'm a very duochrome kind of person when I dress up for Lolita. I prefer just really having a two colors, which to me a neutral and a main color. It's just something I prefer. It's just my thing of just kind of keeping things kind of simple. It's just my preference, but I love like the goofiness of stuff, and I love the goofiness of the street fashions, like of the snaps we used to do and the snaps that are taken now. People still dress very goofy for these street snaps. It looks absolutely ridiculous. I'm into it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
definitely fun time.
Yeah, Lolita is a strange, very not strange, but it's definitely one where it's very structured for a lot of people, and they if you don't have experience in fashion or dressing yourself before, then they're gonna have a lot of like rules, which is great. The rules are great, but they're just suggestions. There are plenty of people, you go all the time without a blouse, yeah, it's just like it's okay to show off leg, it's okay to show off shoulders. It's not a big deal, you guys. Just dress however you want. It's fine. You can look like a hot mess. It's really fun. And definitely buy blouses. I love blouses. I think the pinnacle of Lolita is when you get to the point where you think about buying multiple coats.
That's
like a step. That's like the next step.
It is also like I cannot justify coats because California.
Yeah, we live in California. I have never thought about a coat in my life.
I have one coat because when I was like a newbie Lolita, I was like, I'm gonna buy one coat, and it's a thing that all Lolitas have, and I love them, and I like bought it, and I just never wore it.
Yeah,
it gets seen like maybe once a year.
Cardigans are cute. That's where we probably end up. We're just like, cardigans are very nice and adorable, and that's kind of where I stop. Like, I like cardigans. I like jackets. I like the concept of jackets. I just never bought one for like specifically Lolita. I will wear casual crop jackets all the time though. Like like I like windbreaker jackets. I'll wear that with my angelic pretty and just flounce off into some other whatever I'm doing that day. Just goodbye.
Yep.
Give me some high tops,
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about I don't know. Do you want to talk about like did we already kind of cover your hobbies outside of Lolita?
Oh, not really. I mean, like I guess okay, so this is gonna be weird. I'm gonna talk about a hobby I wish I was more involved in.
Okay.
But I love watching speed runs of video games. Like, I love it. Comes back to that weird thing for precision and technicality, and I love listening to people talk about very precise frame perfect clippings, like clip into the wall and suddenly you're at the end credits things. Like, what I love, like, especially with especially because you're probably going to be into games from your nostalgia. Like so I love watching
You've been
videos.
Invited to a chat party.
We're going to the GDQ. I want to go to GDQ, and it's called Games Done Quick, and it's just a whole basically a convention of just nerds speedrunning games for charity. And I've been binging the hell out of those during quarantine because it's just so fun to me to just utterly break a game. And the older the game is, the more broken people have, like the more battered it is by these people. Like I guess someone in Paper Mario has figured out for Thousand Year Door that you can just skip straight to the end scene by doing a bunch of very complicated things I don't understand. It's just people bizarrely choosing to break down the code, which I feel like I understand, and I really wish I could pick up a game to speed run, but I don't feel like you can speed run casually. And I also feel like if I started, no one would hear from me for about 2 years, and they would suddenly see my name somewhere on some kind of board for an obscure game that nobody cares about, and you will see me somewhere just going, you know. Yeah, they're very, and I feel like they're a very positive community. Like I don't hear much garbage come out of them. And I just think it's really fun, and I just love like speedrunners. I'm a fan of watching them do whatever strange things strike their fancy. Anyone can do a speedrun if they start. I'm like, that's a lie.
Yeah, but better get into Lolita.
Yeah, better get into anything else. But that's why I'm here. I'm gonna watch you guys instead because I do not have, unfortunately, the time or devotion. Because if I did, like, I would literally do nothing else ever. Like these people spend a lot of time devoting themselves to this, and it's just like I will watch you guys and cheer you guys on. But let's go to GDQ. Emma, we're going to GDQ. Yeah, that's definitely a hobby I can start. I do play video games on the side, but I'm not anywhere like as like invested as I used to be because I do have that tendency to hyper focus on something.
Yes.
Like that one day where I played Control for about 14 hours. That wasn't great. I haven't done that since I was like a teenager. That was weird. That was a very strange feeling to wake up and be like, like when quarantine started, everyone and their mom played Animal Crossing, and I was definitely one of those people because I was let go of my job again because of quarantine. And then I was like, I have put 300 hours of into Animal Crossing within a month, so that was not
during the beginning of quarantine, everyone was playing Animal Crossing. I got really into Minecraft again.
Oh yeah, like people just I do like that quarantine has encouraged people to start their hobbies again, but I'm like dying for a tea party where we can talk about this stuff in real life and we can host the actual events. And like I think I'm ready to, I feel like I'm ready because I've always shied away from this and ever doing it again, but I think I'm ready to do something like bring my stuff to the table, like a real like table, maybe at that designer con, maybe something like that. It would be a big step and I would have to make a lot of stuff. Like I'd probably just shut down the store completely for a year to prepare for it, but definitely something I want to try now. I feel like I'm ready for it. I can take a couple of days off from work, and I don't have to explain anything. They'll just let me go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The company I work at is full of nerds. It's not the same kind of nerds you're thinking about. It's collectibles nerds, but that includes Pokemon cards. So it's not totally it's not totally something, It's like I obviously collect Lolita stuff. It's not that far-fetched for me to be working with these particular types of people. It's like I understand them.
Anyone who collects anything, I'm like, I vibe with you.
Yeah, I don't understand your collection, but I vibe with it,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what? Tell me about your collection of, like, checking my notes, Japanese swords from the era of, this one guy. Tell me about it. You're a disgusting weeb, but you can tell me about it,
Yeah, like even when people are like, oh, this one thing is like so expensive, I'm gonna buy it anyway. I'm like, I don't understand why you would buy a knife for $12,000, but go off, do it.
Go off. It's your knife, and and you know what? I bet the blood looks cuter on it, if it's a $12,000 knife or something. I don't know what you're gonna do with that, but I appreciate the thought.
Like I'm like in my head, I'm like, there's only so many things you can do with like a knife. How many do you need? But like, you know what? Collect your weird expensive knives.
I guess for like other hobbies, I don't know, do the cats count? Baby, come here. She's here.
She came
outside.
Everyone clap.
Hey, baby. Do you want to go up? You got to go all the way. Okay, she just wants to do this. That's fine. You have to go all the way up.
There she goes.
So she sits here. This is her thing. She loves sitting here for hours on end while I'm working or on the computer, or just she'll sit there and watch me. So that's just her perch. We have a cat tree, but Dumpling's on it. We only have one cat tree for them. So once we get into a bigger place, they'll have more spaces to be able to do. I don't know. Do cats count as a hobby?
Yeah. I mean, basically, you've been like, please buy from my brand so I can feed these cats.
Basically, I'm just like, think about how needy they are and how much they they need. Look at them. They've never been fed in their entire lives.
You need to give Tina money for cats.
It's true. I'm gonna start an OnlyFans, but only for the cats. If you
Yeah.
subscribe, you'll be able to see very high detailed photos of their Pete's.
Yes.
Very good content.
It's just their beans.
Just their Pete's. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have like, I think we've been talking for like almost an hour and a half, and we've like
Yes.
we've like completely
derailed. I've derailed it.
But let's go back to brand stuff.
Okay, let's
for
go
like
back
just
to
a
that.
couple minutes.
Yeah, I told you I would derail it somehow.
That's it'd be like that. What have been your struggles as an indie designer and a brand owner?
Brand owner, like honestly, I really hesitate to call myself an indie brand sometimes. Like I put a lot of thought into branding and stuff and how I want to present it and what kind of products I want to be released under this name. But I still really hesitate to call myself an indie brand. I would really say I'm more of an independent artist, but I still present it as an indie brand online. So clearly I'm in conflicting moods here. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to think about. Like the struggles just include just having to do everything by yourself. And you're ruining my chair. Oh, okay. Okay, she's gonna want attention after this. So yeah. But definitely doing everything by yourself. Like some people have the hustle and drive, and I don't know if I do have that hustle and drive sometimes because I definitely need breaks.
Yeah.
I need someone to just tell me, hey, back off, or hey, this is good as is. You can let it go. But definitely just kind of it's a lot of discipline, I would say. And it's not like I lack the discipline. It's just definitely like there's just so much to handle sometimes that I don't know how to, do everything. How to juggle it all. Because like a lot of brand success is gonna depend also on their social media.
Yes.
And that's where I have to thank you guys for that because you guys handle a lot of events, online events and stuff. I can lean into that and not worry as much about having to constantly blast like 3 things a day or whatever Instagram's algorithm likes.
It's ridiculous.
I just can't handle that. Like I just don't understand it. I even my personal, like I've never really broken 1,000 anything on any of my social media profiles until recently, and that would be the Märchen Maiden hit over 1,000 followers first. Yay! And then my personal Instagram then hit over 1,000, and I was like, that's interesting. And that's interesting. That has never happened. That didn't happen on Tumblr, and I've never pushed it to happen. Like I don't do like the social media trade-off very well, which is why I'm super surprised when anyone knows me or knows of me, because I had someone tell me that they owned a lot of my hats and I don't know how. And I just like, and I know when you guys said, oh, we have Tina coming back for the thing, and
people were excited.
People were excited. I'm like, how do you guys even know about me? I literally sold one thing 3 years ago and said goodbye.
We carried you at the we did carry your stuff at the pop-up in SF a few years back.
Yeah, I think the most common requests I do get is for bigger berets, which I'm trying to do, but because I don't hit minimums for anything, so it's either custom getting these berets custom manufactured for me, and then I would have to whittle it down to like a color. But I know I can get like wool berets in bigger sizes though. That I can do,
and they're stretchy.
Yes. Oh no, that's the laundry alarm. Oh, the joys of living a normal life. But it's definitely just a lot of hi Rebecca. Hi Rebecca. But yeah, definitely it's just a lot of work and discipline. Like people tend to only think about the dream of doing like, oh, I'm an artist, I own an indie brand, I get clout to my name. When I actively try to divorce Märchen Maiden from being too associated with me, if that makes sense. Like I very careful not to involve my face or anything. That's just a personal preference.
Right.
Do not perceive my work, that kind of thing. But it's just a lot of juggling, which I'm not too great at. Like how everyone's resume wants them to say like an all-star that can multitask.
Oh my god,
that's not me. I will do one thing very, very well, but please don't ask me to do 10 things very well. You'll get 10 kind of half-assed things. And I don't stand for, at least if I'm going to make something, I don't want to stand for half-assing it. Like I really thought about making these chains in actual silver and gold filled parts. I really thought about it, but the cost would have been astronomical to produce and to get the parts made. So I had to scale back to like brass with with a vermil, which is a slightly thicker gold coating and gold filled loops and stuff like that. I can say that if you buy the silver chains, the main parts are brass, but the rings are silver, like actual silver, so they'll last. If you bought the chains, don't throw them away. If they get tarnished, they will get tarnished eventually. Take off the jump rings; those are actually silver. That kind of, like just odd little choices like that. I could have scaled it down, but I wanted, like, even for the chains and stuff, like obviously I didn't commission a bunch of parts from a jewelry manufacturer. I made the findings and put them together how I interpreted it as a good design. But it's still like I still went out of my way because if you guys are familiar with the Swarovski company, they make crystals. They have completely pulled out of the crafting market. So now the world's Swarovski crystals are in short supply, I guess, and you specifically wanted that brand. There are other brands that have stepped up and can fill that thing. And because Swarovski kind of started the color coding stuff, a lot of brands will follow the colors. You're not totally screwed out of like their particular crystals. But I felt like because I wrote Swarovski on the pre-orders for the page I did, I had to still source it. So it took me longer to find like crystals that are essentially being phased out to make sure I had the supply for this. But in the future, I also know that I will just make a note saying, hey, these are no longer Swarovski crystals. They're still very nice, but they won't be the same like crystals as before. Sorry, everyone. So the first round of pre-orders, if I ever do a second one, it won't be the same. I'm very much that kind of picky, overthinking person. Like things can get done with me, but it will be very slow. And sometimes, my expectations are greater than what the reality can produce.
Right.
And that's where my struggle is, where I have to scale myself back and be very honest. Like, what can I make by myself, and what can I outsource, and what is like okay with me and what's not okay. That's definitely where I struggle the most.
I think something that's really commendable about you is that you do practice very like you're trying very hard to be transparent, and you're trying really hard to kind of like be clear about like what kind of work you're able to handle, and also try and do your best to give quality, to have quality goods that are made well.
So it's especially because it's still going to be my creation. I still want it to like last. I'm not here to make things that are quick and disposable.
Yes.
Like I really like, I still see people with my witch hats and stuff I made. That was one of, I wouldn't call it a failure project, but I really sincerely struggled when making those all by myself. Like that was where I bit off too much. And I worry that like people are very unhappy with me, but it seems like I haven't heard anything about it. So I'm just like, okay.
They
like
were
it did
really
take
cute, to be fair.
it was very hard for me to like get those out to people in a timely manner. And that's when I wanted to realize like I'm better off doing one-offs. I did pre-orders specifically for the chains because it's very easy and I can watch my speed runs and just tinker away with like the jump rings and everything from the comfort of my own seat. So that's not as stressful as having to sew like 30 hats. That was something I did that I wish I hope people like I feel like people may have forgotten, but I still remember it. So it's definitely something I want to change. I also see that a lot of indie brands tend to be a 2 people thing, and I only have me here.
Make Brian work.
I know. Sometimes I ask him, hey, can you just respond to Instagram messages and pretend you're me? And he's like, that seems kind of hard. I'm like, no, you just put a smiley face at the end of everything. Like, ooh, I'm a brand. Ooh,
I'm cute.
I'm cute. Like I'm an adorable, caring brand, not that I'm not like those things, but like if you were to compare the stuff I obviously post as a brand and then post on my personal, it's just like, damn, she's a shitlord, isn't she? It's like, yeah. We are all just like, a lot of designers are just like messes. We're all just memeing messes, most of us. I feel like most of us. Some people can keep their collective appearance together, but not me. I'm a mess.
Do you have any advice for people who may want to become an indie brand or make goods?
I would go and start with an indie artist. Be an indie artist first. Like really think about whether you could commit the time to be acting like you're a brand with a lot of clout, and just remember that the people that are your fans, you treat them, be nice to them. It sounds a little strange to say that, but just remember that nobody's obligated to buy your stuff. Like one thing I'm doing right now is like I pretty much, when I did my first round of enamel pins, I basically overproduced like way too many for the size of like what I was doing. Like I had 300 pins of each made, so I have 300 like extra. I sold quite a lot of them, but I still have a lot of extras. So I just decided for every order with Märchen Maiden, free pins.
Yeah.
Free pins for everyone.
They're very cute
And
pins.
yeah, so I basically just free pins for you guys. Don't worry about it. It didn't really cost me that much, and these are quite old at this point. But free pins. Don't worry about it. And like I have done it before, where like especially if it's like maybe a charity cause, I will put up the pins up for sale. Just be like, hey, for $15, get the pins. All donations will go to like this. It's not a big deal to me. Like I've sold enough to pay back the cost of the pins, but now I have a lot of extra stock in a bag. I just include it with everything. You just ask me, I'll just give you some pins. Like, boop, boop, boop. Like this was a mistake. That was one of the mistakes I made on my part. And like because we don't have the power to be buying a lot of like supplies the same way any actual brand with staff would be able to, you're going to be spending a lot on supplies. Like
Yes.
like I spent a lot of money on basically chain parts after. Like it was not like I didn't spend $100. I spent 4 times that much to get more supplies to make more chains. Like yeah, no, like I said, I didn't use cheap parts, and and because I wasn't able to source everything from one supplier, I had to go to different suppliers to look for very specific parts. And the chains I use are very thin. So they needed a very certain size gauge hoop, and I had to change some designs to accommodate the fact that I wanted very dainty chains. And then my like tiny little fingers are like paying for it. I'm just like, whoa, I did this to myself. But that is very much a me thing. Like a very much a me thing. Like I don't produce a lot, but the stuff I do put out, I'm very proud of. Like I wish I could make more, but there's only one of me. There's no partnership or anything at the moment. It's just me running wild in my own little like fairy tale, which is what my brand's named are. Märchen is like fairy tale in German. I'm sorry to Germany out there for co-opting that word, but not. I sometimes think about rebranding it, but I don't know what else to rebrand it as. But it's just like
just kinako and dumpling.
just dumpling. It's just
dumpling.
picture of him, just dumpling.
But it's just like his butt.
It's just his butt. But after I clean it up, like cats have poopy butts. I don't like it. But yeah, cats have poopy butts. Like first lesson you learn, you're like, oh. Chasing I spend a lot of time chasing them down with wet wipes. They don't like it at all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do you have any plans for your brand in the future?
I'm probably just gonna keep going as is. I feel like there's a lot of decent traction now. At one point or another, I will bring the heart berets back, and I was planning on the new rendition using custom printed ribbon, either printed, screen printed. Obviously because I want a ribbon that's just not gonna rub off immediately. I've seen a lot of gold printing where the gold just falls off, so it's gonna take me a little time to source that. I wanted Märchen Maiden ribbon, and I had a different idea for the heart. So most likely the new berets are going to cost more than the first ones I did. But I do want to do aprons at one point because I'm glad aprons are very trendy. They still are, I think. I don't think anyone stopped wearing them. Maybe aprons. I don't know if I would ever go to like a full-on dress release, just because again, people don't realize what a big commitment that is. And because I don't particularly believe in specifically prints, I like textile fabrics. Like that's why I love melty ribbon so much. I like the textile fabrics. It would be a lot of sewn details like laces or self details like pin tucks, that kind of thing, gathers and ruffles. It's a lot of work, and I do not necessarily know if it would sell. Although I see other indie brands absolutely killing it, and I make notes of what people are willing to pay and like the kind of price that people tend to tap out at. Like I pay attention to a lot of the marketing stuff. Like it's very, I'm not going to say it's easy, but when the community is this small, you can have a very good idea of what people like and how much they're willing to spend. And sometimes it's just a case of asking your friends, hey, what are you willing to spend on this idea? Like I talk to a lot of people about my ideas like all the time. Like I don't consider myself some kind of secret original, like original designer or anything. I'm very happy to be like, this exists, but how can we make it like better? How can we bring it to its the next form? Like I'm not good at trends, is what I'm saying. I may still be thinking of the same thing like 3 years from now when it's clearly fallen out of favor. Like I am very slow. Like I know old school is very in trend right now. I'm making stuff for old school styles, but knowing me, it's not going to hit me until like 2 years from now where I'm like, oh, maybe I should try something with old school and cotton laces.
Well, that's another thing about like Lolita that's kind of fun is that like you can follow trends, but also you can just do your own thing. And
yeah, Lolita does give you a lot of freedom just to kind of like walk off and pretend you don't know anything and just do your own thing. That's totally fine. Like people who really like old school especially will still be able to buy, like especially right now, if you're into old school, a lot of indie brands are doing their rendition of old school, and I think that's great. It doesn't like A criticism that really annoys me is like skirts are too big for old school or whatever, which I'm just like, boo, because the best part of Lolita for me is also the skirt shape, which is big. I'm just like, boo, bigger skirts, make it huge, make it a tent.
Old school, but it's like a skirt that's like out to there.
Old school, but I want like straight up sticking out tutu. Let's do it. Just thoughts like that come in my head. Like, again, I don't criticize a lot of designers or what they choose to do. I only criticize technical points. Sometimes I will look at a print and go, that's pretty ugly, but somewhere out there, it's someone's favorite print, and that's fine. It's like every Pokemon has its own fan. Every Pokemon has at least one fan, something like that, which is what I'm glad for. There's a lot of selection you can have now. If you are really into a very certain niche or type of like design or print or whatever, you can probably build something completely around that. And with the blogging, I think I'm going to take it a little up more. Like I said, I have a lot of time. I am bizarrely comfortable indoors right now. Like in my brain, like after 4 months have passed, quarantine started, I was like, I have lived this way forever. I have never been outside in my entire life. I avoid people to death everywhere. I've done this my entire life. Like apparently like a newborn cat, I'm just like, this is it. It's been like this forever.
Yeah.
So I will probably take up blogging and doing like a lot of reviews and probably resources. I know we didn't touch about it here, and I kind of didn't want to touch about it because it would just completely derail into another hour, but I wanted to talk about the cotton issues. And I told you, and I know we both knew this beforehand. Let's not be either of us started on the current
we're not going to talk about it.
The Xinjiang cotton issue. Like that's a whole lot of things to unpack there. And I would actually, if you want to hear more about that, I would actually refer to Kurse Kaiser's video that she released on Instagram to kind of get a base of where
IGTV.
Go watch it. That's kind of where my feelings start off, especially because we have more insight into production, and because I've worked directly with a lot of Chinese production and mills and stuff. It's like a lot of things we need to discuss, and I will at one point either do a video or a write-up about it, but I think I will probably do a write-up about it because I think it's important to target some, because Lolita communities where we like, it's all rainbows and stuff, but there's still a lot of shit that we need to work with like collectively to kind of make this the space that everyone keeps saying it is.
Yes.
Like it needs a lot of work. If it weren't for quarantine, I wouldn't be even half as involved in community stuff.
Same.
Yeah, but here we are on Twitch.
And doing an interview, which is fun.
We've almost managed to ramble for 2 hours. So I was actually very worried we wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, an hour and a half? That's a really long time.
It's surprising.
Yeah. And I'm just like, dang, y'all really sat through that.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. Otherwise we'll just leave.
We're just gonna go. We have to do things for the rest of the day. And just hello. Like honestly, I don't make myself known in a lot of places, or people actually may not even know what I look like because I've stopped using my face in a lot of profile icons recently. So it's just like, oh, can you see the kitties? Dumpling.
Hinako walked off a little while
ago. She did. The power of wireless headphones. I'm gonna pick up Dumpling.
Amazing. I love
He's not gonna like it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Hi, Knuckle. Yes, you're a good girl. Dumpling. I'm sorry. I'm gonna wake you up. Oh God, you're heavy. You became a very big boy.
He was so small.
He was a very small baby, and now he's a very round baby. It's your grandchild.
Look at him.
He's just like, I can't believe I exist. Yeah, he's not great at grooming. We're gonna have to give him like a dry shampoo later. Hi, baby. It's okay. Hi, baby. I don't want to rub my face on your head because you'll get a little foundation on you, and you probably won't like that. But he's a very as someone's first cat, he's very easy. Like he's a very easygoing cat. His only crime is that he eats elastic off face mask. A very specific crime that he does, and he cries a lot for like food. Do you want to go down?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. He's like, I'm done, which is fine. Go guys. Hinako, I think, is going back into her hidey holes, which I let her because if that's what she wants to do, I'm not going to force her to be outside. I also want to hide in a dark hidey hole all the time.
That's basically what quarantine is.
Pretty much. Like honestly, quarantine's hit really hard. We're almost at the end. Please wear your mask.
We'll be back soon.
Yeah, we'll be back. I have like an idea of maybe throwing like a little like private Märchen Maiden tea party just for the just seems like something would be fun to do,
That
you know,
sounds
like.
really fun.
But like, cause there's a couple places where you can do it. It's not that expensive, and
Mhm.
I don't even know what would be special about it. It's just an excuse
Just
to
a
go
fun
outside.
tea party because no one gets to do that anymore.
Yeah, nobody gets to do that anymore. It's just like, okay, guys, we're all gonna get tea. There's some like booze right there too, so it's gonna be that kind of tea party, I guess.
I'll come down.
Do you have an in-person event? I know you guys are working on anime stuff, so once that's ever announced, like if we're allowed to go back to being like regular life, I'm definitely traveling up back for anime.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Probably
traveling
next year, yeah.
next year, which is
'Cause
totally
this year
fine.
isn't or this person's virtual.
Yeah, if you guys are doing something maybe at the end of the year and we're all given kind of the okay to congregate again, I'll just drive up. Like it's not
Maybe.
maybe. I will drive up. I'm just saying I have a car that's good on gas. Like it's not like when I have done the drive to San Francisco once and it wasn't that bad. You know, I was just like I can do it again. I wouldn't want to do it every month, but I'll do it every couple months just cuz it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come to. Oh, so Rebecca Crossing actually lives very close to me. Like she actually lives a block away. You're coming.
Ah.
Get in the car. We're all going to Fanime to the J Fashion stuff.
Mhm. I'm very excited for that.
Winter pop
Winter
up,
pop-up.
and I would love to see, like, God, I wish space in LA wasn't so expensive to rent. I learned that the hard way with LA ILD stuff, but I would like to see like more events being done in LA around LA
Oh,
too.
Iris is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all going to Fanime. Let's go.
Everyone's coming.
Okay, so I'm sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just mostly people that know me at this point. But I made jokes about everyone wearing like Metamorphose while Lolita stuff to an anime convention to really live out like those weeby
The Weeb
dreams,
J
the
Fashion
weeb
Convention
dreams. Yeah,
fantasy.
because I always think about that iconic girl in that red and black butterfly wall Lolita. It's too short, but everyone has seen it. I'm sure Bodyline has sold it. I always think about that outfit. Unfortunately, it's the icon that lives rent free in my head. And I'm like, we should do that because Meta made wall Lolita cool.
Yeah. And Haley
And
will be there.
Haley will wear her real kimono and just like shame us all.
Okay. Does anyone else have any
Yeah,
questions?
if you guys have any questions, yeah, thank you for coming. It's a wonderful Sunday. It's also my only day off for a little bit.
Thank you
So
for spending that with
yeah,
us.
I was very nervous about this, but then I was like, okay, let's just get into rambling mode. Just
Pretty much.
ramble forever. Just
Yeah.
let's
We
see
talked
how
about
far
so
we
many
derail.
things.
We did. I don't even remember what we talked about anymore because we would say one thing and then just immediately derail into another topic. So I don't remember if we actually answered the questions that we started with. I think we did.
When you got two people who are talking and they
Hmm.
both have ADHD,
Like, I'm most likely, if I were ever to be diagnosed, I would probably get some of it because a lot of the signs are in one of my parents who seems to have a lot of those kind of like symptoms of adult ADHD. So I'm not surprised. I just found, because I went so long without healthcare that I just found like ways to cope, like stuff that used to really upset me. Something that used to really freak me out was with me putting down something and it moved or it wasn't there where it used to be, and that would send me on like a mental anguish for hours. Like if I was not able to find it, like I was not above just ordering a new thing just to replace it, just so I feel like things were right in the world again. Like I
my
found,
immediate reaction whenever that happened was, "Oh my god, someone has stolen it." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Why
it's
would
just like
anyone
someone
steal that?
stole
No
it.
one
Like
wants your dirty ass shoes."
no, like sometimes I'm totally convinced that there is like a void behind me, and sometimes something just like to pull stuff into the void, and I just lose my mind whenever I can't find anything. But it's been years since I recognized that as a problem, and I kind of found my own ways around it. And sometimes it's just going, it wasn't that important, so it's okay. Like I've been missing my tweezers for like a month now,
Oh, I have
so
a second.
yeah,
I did buy
yeah.
a second pair of tweezers.
Yeah, I have been missing my tweezers for a month now, and I finally said it's just time to buy a new tweezer. No need to panic. It's very strange stuff like that.
I found the first pair, so now I do have two tweezers.
Yeah, but now you're winning. But yeah, like that stuff used to really send me on really bad anxiety, like just anxiety attacks, and it was a little uncontrollable for a while, especially when I was younger. Like I would misplace something, and I would just immediately after an hour, I would just freak out and just buy a new one right now.
Bye,
But yeah,
Haley.
bye Haley. Stay safe. Stay safe. Eat lots of delicious snacks today. or don't. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I don't tell anyone anything. I just exist.
Okay. We should probably go.
Yes, yes.
It's been a while. I told you it was gonna be like an hour and a half. It's been like
we did
almost 2 hours.
We did it. I should Venmo you some boba. Be like, she really put up with all our derailment completely.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you everyone for showing up and listening to us talk about so many things.
Our school traumas.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thanks, Iris.
Thanks, Iris. See you soon.
Mm-hmm. If you have any other questions and you want to ask them to Tina directly, you can find her at your personal account is Seamswitch.
Yeah, just Seamswitch exactly like it's spelled. Down over here.
If you want
down here
questions about her brand, you can go to Märchen.Maiden on Instagram.
Yeah.
Feel free to send her questions about.
Yeah, if you just have questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them. You know,
check out her blog. She's gonna post more resources there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the community needs because I don't necessarily want to be like the one end all voice of things that are okay. You know, that's not how it. No, it's just like
the idea of there being like
a collective
resources is, I think, so useful.
Yeah, because I want to. I guess derailment time really quick. But I did do a wardrobe like archive for this year, and I'm gonna do it again next year. I was just trying to collect everyone who was doing wardrobes in their own blogs or maybe YouTube videos.
All over the place now.
It's all over the place.
It's not on LiveJournal anymore.
So I made just a list for 2020 and you can look at all of them and you'd be like, oh, this is what this person does. And, you know, some people have very amazing websites. Like there was one person who was still on GeoCities and I thought that was incredible. Like it was very GeoCity styled. And I believe she had like the little pixel dolls on top. And I was like,
it's amazing.
That was a mood. Do not never change.
So yeah, next year, hit up Tina. She'll have her spreadsheet and make a list of
everyone. Yeah, I would love to see specifically that brought back just because again I like to hyperanalyze you, so let me see. It's like that compulsion when I go to someone's place and I open their fridge. It's very rude. I will always do this when I go to someone's place. I will open their fridge at one point because I just want to see what's in it.
I'm trying to think about my fridge now.
Yeah, it's like it kind of tells me like a lot of things, like what you keep in your fridge or what you don't keep in your fridge. I'm just nosy like that. Don't like
you'll know about me. It's like I live with a weird cheese guy.
I'm just gonna be like, Jess, there's one bag of cheese in here and it's labeled, but it's last time I checked, this was Emma's cheese bag.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. But yeah, okay, we're gonna go.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
I can ramble forever, so hurry up, turn off the stream.
Bye.